Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. We're continuing our exploration through the shoulders, and we are going to bring in like all the elements that we've brought in over the last few weeks and continue to add on. So we'll begin today lying down on the back. Make yourself comfortable. Actually, before we get in there, if you think that you might need like a cushion, couch cushion, rolled up blanket, towel, block, if you have it, have that close by, not required, but nice to have handy just in case. All right, let's do this. So lying down on your back, you can close the eyes if that feels good. And we'll take some time to transition out of our day and into our yoga practice. And so do a little check-in. Just scan your body and notice how things are feeling. You might notice any little pockets of crunchiness or tightness. And then stretch your attention to spaces that are maybe normally out of your attention. Maybe where energy is flowing freely, or spots that are typically out of mind. And so we're creating this internal map, strengthening our internal navigation, moving attention throughout the entire being. And keep that rolling and go ahead and soften up the jaw. Let it just hang. Release the eyes, the forehead, and all the muscles beneath the scalp. And begin to breathe into the back of your brain here. So you might even visualize the breath moving up to that space. And as you continue that breath, let's start to explore the boundaries of the lungs. So on your inhale, see if you can stretch your breath all the way up to the top. On your exhales, completely empty. So really searching for the bottom of your lungs by pulling the navel back toward the floor. And just take a few breaths like that on your own. Once you've found the top of your lungs, you might continue to stretch the inhale to the sides, to the back, and even the front. Each exhale, squeezing out every last little bit of air, even when you think it's all gone, pulling out a little bit more. And throughout our class today, I encourage you to simply be aware of the breath. There's no need to force it or necessarily change it, but you'll notice just by keeping your attention with it, it'll naturally draw out. And we'll begin our practice today. Take a full body stretch, arms long, legs long. You can roll out your wrists, your ankles. Get all the crunchies out of there. Oof. And bring your right knee in towards your chest. You can clasp your hands wherever feels comfortable. On your inhale, go ahead and press the leg out. I like to press it out so much that I get a little stretch to the arms even. On your exhale, squeeze it in towards you. Each inhale, push it out. Exhale, draw it in. You can even take it up and around your torso, kind of like you're putting it in your armpit. And keep rolling through these on your own. You'll notice when you pull your knee in that your right hip kind of hikes up with it. And see if you can instead push your right hip away from your body. So as the top leg moves in, your right hip moves out. And that helps us to avoid any compensation in the low back. All right, go ahead and switch it out, other side. Breath in, move the leg out. Breath out, hug it in, and even around the torso. Now, as you move through these on your own, make your bottom leg nice and heavy. Feel the pelvis drop down. And that'll help that left hip this time to move forward towards the front of the mat as we move the leg in towards the chest. Last one. Now you can release your legs. We'll take the arms wide and step your feet, let's say on the outer edges of your mat. So outer edges of the mat with your feet. Now, let your knees kind of drop out. However, keep your feet on the floor. So keep your feet rooted. I know it's kind of a challenge, especially the inner arch there. Knees drop out. Now pull your knees towards each other. And once they come to touch, just squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. So that's internal rotation of the thighs. So we'll inhale, open them. External rotation, feet stay rooted. Exhale, squeeze your legs together, almost like they're one leg. And take two more like that on your own. Just keeping in mind the different sensations between internal and external rotation. As we start to warm up, we'll be playing quite a bit with our internal rotation. All right. Next time your knees are out, go ahead and drop your knees to the right side and look over your left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Drop your knees to the left and look over your right shoulder as you exhale. Inhale, center. Take a few of these little windshield wipers on your own. You're rotating the neck the opposite way of the knees. And for me, I noticed that the slower I go and the more heavy I allow the leg bones to be, the more sensation and even a little more access is earned through the hips, through the deep abdominals. And finish up the round that you're on. And next time you're back in the center, go ahead and straighten out the legs. Pausing for a moment just to tune into how that made the body feel. Okay, left arm up overhead. Go ahead and roll over onto your left side. So you're stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips. And this might be a good spot for you to, you're actually gonna take this bottom arm to kind of a 90-degree angle here. So it's kind of stacked right over, the wrist is right over the elbow. This might be where you decide like, oh, my neck's kind of uncomfortable. I can make a little pad, a little cushion, or just let it hang out on the floor, whatever's clever. Now take your top hand right on top of that bottom hand. Now with, let's say like 30-ish, 35% of your effort, push your bottom hand against your top hand. So not all your effort, but press your bottom hand against your top hand, and then use your top hand to start to lower your bottom hand toward the ground. And we're resisting as we go. Continue with that resistance and see, hey, how low can I go here? Probably not all the way to the ground, that's okay. But then once you find your end range, maintain that same amount of resistance as you go back the opposite direction. Now your top hand is resisting, bottom hand, same amount of effort. And then once you're back in that 90-degree spot, go ahead and double the effort. So you've got, I don't know, like 60 to 70% effort. Going down. Whew. Right before you hit that end range, stay still, but keep that pressing effort. And then work back the opposite direction, same amount of effort. Wow. Oof. Once you get back to your starting position, final round, full effort. Full effort is possible, if possible, all you got. For me, I noticed my full effort is not that much different than what I thought was half effort. That's okay. Then once you're at the end range, you'll pause in stillness, feel that the effort continue without the motion, and then return back to your starting position. Wowza. Whew. Once you're back at the start, you can release, return to your back, pause momentarily, tune into the feels going on in that left arm. Let's switch it out, other side. I'm gonna turn around just so you can see better. So rolling over to your right side, you'll take your bottom arm out so it's in line with the shoulder, then bend your elbow. This might be where you decide to make a little cushion for the head there. And you'll take your top hand on top of the bottom hand. Then push your top hand and resist with the bottom. Same thing here, so I don't know, 30 or 40-ish% effort as you lower down. You might notice this arm feels different than the other one. See if you can pinpoint in what ways it feels different. Once you find the end range as the hand goes toward the ground, pause in stillness while maintaining the effort and return to your starting point. Back at the starting point, compound the effort. We'll up it to between 60-70%. Then return, lowering the hand toward the ground, maintaining the resistance through both hands as you do, pausing at the end range, take in the feels, then return back to your starting point. Whew. Back at the starting point, this is our final round now, so as much effort as you can, resisting through both hands, taking it down as low as you can toward the ground, pausing at the end range momentarily, and then move it back to your starting point. Notice the urge to rush back to start. Cool. Whew, that is enough of that. Once you're back to your start, you can release, return to your back, take a breath or two in Shava just to tune into how that made the body feel. All right. With your knees in, you can roll onto your side and we'll come on up into a seat. And sitting is not always comfortable for all of us, so if you need to pop your bottom onto a block or a cushion, please do. Hands into comfortable placement. Sitting up nice and tall, relax your right ear to your right shoulder. Allow the shoulders to drop down toward the floor. And then start to draw your chin across the front of your body, slow and steady. In the center, the chin will move down toward the chest. And then start to pull your left ear over your left shoulder. Full rotation here, begin to tilt the chin up and back. And take one more full rotation like that in this direction. And we're taking our time with this to observe how the neck moves. When we're dealing with the shoulders, the neck is a very important component. Next time your right ear is to your right shoulder, you can come on back to neutral in the center. We'll switch it out, left ear to left shoulder this time. Allow the shoulders to relax. And start to draw your chin forward and across. Really take your time noting the weight of your skull. Eventually, with the right ear over the right shoulder, you'll start to pull your ears back behind the shoulders to tilt the chin up and back. Once your left ear is back to your left shoulder, go ahead and take one more just like that on your own. Slow and steady. Next time your left ear is at your left shoulder, return to neutral. Okay. In your own time, come on to all fours, tabletop position. Got your fingers spread out nice and wide, right underneath the shoulders. And bring your knees a little wider than outer hip width distance apart with your big toes towards each other. Now, sit your hips back towards your heels, so not full child's pose, but hips back towards the heels. Keeping your hands where they are as you inhale, find cow back. So you're arching your spine, turning your chin up, your tail back. You might even feel your hands pull back towards your knees. And on your next exhale, round your spine, curl your tail under, your chin towards your chest. Feel your hands pull apart. So kind of like a weird cat-cow meets child's pose. Inhale to your cow back, arching the spine. Maybe hands drag back a bit. Exhale, rounding your spine. Feel your hands pull apart. Chin towards the chest. You go ahead and take a few more like this on your own. You might even notice in what ways one arm differs from the other. I know for me, my left arm just fires a lot more than the right. So I got to use my brain to get my right arm more involved. Okay. Come on back to your table. All fours. Take one of your hands, don't matter, behind your head. One hand behind your head and hug your belly back towards your spine and push down through the center of your bottom hand. So you're not collapsing on the wrist, but rather pressing down through the index and thumb. Now on your inhale, turn your top elbow up toward the ceiling. You can even use your eyes to look up. And on your exhale, start to close your chest, cross your elbow over the midline, kind of like you're trying to reach your top elbow to the opposite side. Inhale, open the chest, stacking top shoulder over the bottom. Exhale, cross it over and under. Go ahead and take 3 more like this on your own. Try not to forget about the low body, but rather press the tops of your feet down. Press the fronts of the shins down. Almost there, last one. When you're through, come on back to center. Switch it out, other side. Other hand behind your head. First, from your belly, press to the center of your hands, the tops of the feet. Then inhale to lift and open through the chest. Exhale, cross it under and close. And go ahead and inhale, lift it up and open. Exhale, cross it over and under. 3 more on your own. Notice where this movement is coming from. And it's really tempting to kind of lead with the elbow here, which is fine. That's okay. But see if you can stretch some of the effort so that you're moving from your navel center. Moving even from the collarbones. So that the elbow, the arm is just kind of along for the ride. All right, back to center. When you're through, you can release here. Tuck your toes. Check in that your hands are really rooted. And with your toes tucked, hover your knees above the ground. Move yourself back into a shortened down dog. So the hands and feet are a little closer than normal down dog, which might mean you bend your knees more. If possible, straighten the knees if you can. Let the neck relax completely. Inhale, drop your knees, arch your spine into cow back. Exhale, hover the knees. Inhale, straighten your legs for down dog. Exhale, drop your knees around your spine. Inhale to cow. Hover your knees. Exhale, down dog. Come in and out of these a few times, trying to overthink it. So hovering the knees, taking a cat or a cow as you move back into down dog. Finding your own rhythm with the breath. And using this to help to bring the core online. Bring the breath and the movements together. Last one. Next time you're in downward facing dog, inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step to the front of your mat and come all the way up to stand. So nothing fancy, come on up to stand. And take a big step back so you've got a wide stance going. Is my head cut off? Yes, it is. So you've got your wide stance going here. Now turn your heels in and your toes out. Heels in and toes out. And with your hands above the knees, go ahead and bend your knees. You can even use your hands here to kind of press the knees a bit back behind you. And I like to use it almost like a quad massage as well. So heels of your hands really pressing into that space above the knee. You might even play with letting your hips get low and your heart get high. Then we'll turn the right shoulder in as we look back over the left shoulder. So we got our neck stretch as well as hips and shoulders. Some all-inclusive movements. Come on back to center. Switch it out. Left shoulder in, looking back over the right shoulder. Use the strength of your arms to let your hips maybe get a little lower. Come on back to center. Let's do 2 more breath to movement. Inhale here. Exhale, right shoulder down, look left. Inhale, center. Exhale, left shoulder down, look right. Inhale, center. 1 more like that on your own. Meeting back in the center, now you can straighten your legs. We'll parallel the feet to one another. And let's come down into a half fold. So you've got your hands below your shoulders. If your spine is really rounded here, that's your key to maybe bend your knees. That's your key to maybe shorten or widen your stance. So we're looking for a neutral spine here. Now either staying in this neutral spine or walking your hands back in order to relax to your fold. If you are taking the full fold, ground your heels down and play with leaning the weight forward towards your toes. Breathing space behind your knees. Then using your belly to create the feeling of passing the body through the legs. And we'll inhale to half lift. Grab hold of your ankles if possible. If ankles are not accessible, you might hold up a little bit higher. And we'll play with our transverse lunge. So bending into your right knee, push your right knee out to the side. Arm can bend if it needs to. Inhale back to center. Weight is still leaning forward. Bend your left knee, push your left knee way out to the side. Both feet equally rooting. Inhale back to center. We'll take 2 more like that on our own. So exhale, bending right. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Last one on your own. And I love these kind of repetitive actions because it brings more fluid into the hip capsule. Help priming the hips for rotation. Okay. Once you're back, let's take the hands to the hips. Come all the way on up. Turn your right toes out to the side. So you're setting up a warrior two here through the legs. Sliding a bend into your front knee. Put a little bit more weight in your back foot, a little more weight through the back, and see if you can take your front knee a little deeper if you do that. Nice. Front knee is rolling for the outer edge of the foot. Fly the arms when you're ready. And you might even imagine that if I were there, I could push on your arms and they would stay still. So nice and toned with the arms. As you inhale, breathe your shoulders up and away from your hips. As you exhale, drop and ground through the feet. Now, with your backhand to your head, take your front elbow towards your knee, so coming more into a side angle pose. More in this side angle pose, take your top elbow, stretch it up and over, big reach through the side body. Some of us might stay right here. Just enjoy this side angle variation. If you're going more for strength today, we'll have some actions in here. Inhale. Exhale. Take your top elbow, start to close it down toward the ground, even scooping it off into the right. So just like we did in our tabletop, and I just noticed I had to shorten my stance a bit to do this, so you might have to do that too. Inhale, open the chest, lifting, reaching through the top elbow. Exhale, close and sweep it over toward the right. Just one more like that. Inhale, open. Exhale, sweep and cross. Inhale and open. Can release, bring yourself all the way up. Wow. Switch that out. Go ahead and take the feet the other direction. Heels are in the same line if possible. We'll fly the arms, reaching, and slide that bend into the front knee. Can we put a little more weight through the back leg? Firming up through the arms and breathing length up the spine. Exhaling depth through the hips, through the feet. Back hand comes onto the back of the head. Hinge yourself forward, resting your front elbow onto your knee. You might need to adjust your stance. Now, as you take your gaze up, let's reach this top elbow way up and over, like you're trying to reach your top elbow to the opposite side of the room. Inhale. Exhale, begin to close the chest, crossing your elbow over the body, over toward the left. Inhale, open and stack the shoulders. Find the extension through the top arm. Exhale, cross it under and over. Last one here on your own. Try not to lose the strength in the legs. Next time you're up in this open position, can release your pose, come on up. Parallel your feet to one another. Your arms wide open, bend your knees, go ahead and hop it together. Nicely done. Chair pose. You can take your toes together, you can take your feet wide. It kind of depends on what your knees prefer. So I encourage you to experiment with what you might need today. Bend your knees enough to touch the ground. Now, with your heels moving out, create the sensation of your heels moving out to squeeze your inner thighs together. Heels moving out, inner thighs together. Then, once you've got that, then go ahead and lift your arms up into chair pose. Yeah. Very good. We'll inhale here. Exhale, open arm twist to the right, reaching your fingertips in opposite directions. Inhale, come on back to center. You might even sit a little lower. Exhale, open arm twist to the left. Big reach through the hands. Inhale, back to center. Take one more like that on your own. And try to keep both hips facing forward as you twist. And try to keep both knees together as you open. When you're through, come on back to center. Straighten your legs, release the arms down. Wonderful. Step your left leg back behind you. So both your hips are facing straight ahead. Your back foot is open about 45 degrees, just like you're setting up for warrior one. In fact, have at it. Bend into your front knee. I'm doing hands on the hips just to help my hips sit low. Help the hips sit low. Once you've got that, with your eyes straight ahead, reach your arms up and overhead. And if you're in the tight shoulders club, feel free to take your arms wider, giving your neck enough room to lift. Even breathing into the back of your skull to feel it rise. Inhale. Exhale, straighten your front leg. Inhale to bend, sitting maybe a little lower this time. Exhale, straighten. 3 more like this on your own. After you're 3, you can rest the arms if you'd like. Go ahead and pivot on your feet. Take it the opposite direction. Make sure your both hips are straight ahead, which means your back leg needs to be on board for that. You might do hands on your hips at first in order to sit nice and low. Feel the front knees sliding forward and your shoulders lifting away from the earth. Lots of power through the back leg. When you're ready, the arms can float up. Feel free to adjust the width of the hands if necessary. Inhale here. Exhale, straighten the leg. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. 3 more on your own. See if you can keep the whole body so still that it's just the front knee that moves. Everything else is along for the ride. After you're through, release your hands down. You can pivot to face forward once more and step your back foot forward into standing. Find equal standing, so your feet are hip width distance apart. And we're gonna pretend that we did this earlier. So with your hands to your heart here, shift all of the weight. Actually, let's lift up all 10 toes. Spread out your toes nice and wide. Drop just your big toes. Lift. Just the 8 little toes. Lift. And release. All right. Shifting all the way into your left foot. Ground it way down and lift your right knee up in line with your hip. Flare your outer 2 lifted toes. I know that pinky toe is kind of rascally, so do what you can. Inhale. As you set your foot down, exhale to chair pose. I'm doing wide-legged chair pose for this one. As you straighten your legs, pull your hand to your heart, your left knee into your chest this time. So we're just working the balance. We'll come in and out a few times. Flare your outer 2 toes if possible. And with your knee in line with your hip, play with dropping your hip an inch or 2. Yeah, awesome. Inhale. Chair pose, exhale. Switching out, inhale, right knee to chest, hands to heart, flare it out. Exhale, chair. Inhale, left knee to chest, hands to heart. Exhale, chair. One more on each side on your own. After your two, you can come to equal standing, pausing briefly in Tadasana to observe the energetic changes you just made. Alrighty. Well, once more, left leg steps back behind. So just like you're setting up your warrior one, so same setup with your legs. Inhale your left arm up and overhead. If possible, keep your bicep by your ear. If that's just not happening for you today, you can also take your hand onto the back of your head like we've been doing. So either hand to back of your head or arm straight, whatever's clever. Now as you press your feet down and apart, let's inhale, lift through the top arm a lot. And exhale, begin to lower. It might even be like a little bit above the hips. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, lower, maybe a little bit further this time. Reach your top hands away from you if possible. Inhale, lift up. Once more, exhale, lower, about halfway. Hold here at your half lift. You can release your hand down to the floor. This might be where you take your block. If neither of that's happening, go ahead and bend your bottom knee. Bring the ground a little bit closer to you. So once you've got your hand rooted, let's go ahead and take the opposite hand to the back of the head. On your inhale, find that openness, so stack your shoulders, stretching your right elbow up toward the ceiling. Now begin to hug your right hip toward the middle of your mat. Feet pressed down and apart. If you have access to straightening your front leg, do so. If you have access to straightening your top arm, please do. Revolve triangle. Feel your right hip hugging toward the left inner thigh. Spreading across the collarbones. Finding that lifting out through the shoulders. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Looking down, you can return your top hand to your waist. Now stretch your bottom hand in front of you in line with your ear. We'll inhale here. Exhale, push through your feet to stand. Release the arms, switch it out. Nice work, that's tough. We got this, other side. So once more, legs are in warrior one position, back foot is a bit out to the side. We'll take our right arm by the ear this time, left arm to the waist. If you prefer to have your back hand to your head, that's an option as well. Press your feet down and apart, inhale, reach up through the top of the spine. Exhale, begin to lower. Let me go a little less than halfway with this. Inhale, push through your feet to lift up. Exhale, lower a little bit further this time, maybe halfway. So head's in line with the hips. Inhale, lift up. Last one. Exhale, lower halfway. Shoulders and hips in line. Now release your right hand to the floor. If you need to bend your front knee, bend your front knee. That's what it's there for, to be bending. Now with your left hand here, use your left hand to kind of guide your left hip toward the center of your mat a bit more. So instead of popping out to the side, it's more like hugged in. Now press your feet down apart once more. Let's inhale, stretch your heart forward. And on your exhale, begin to stack your left shoulder over your right. And I believe we had the hand on the back of the head here. So let's go ahead and find that again. So left hand is on the back of your head. Stack your shoulders. Your eyes can go up, your top shoulder, your elbow can stretch up. You might consider straightening your front leg. You may consider lifting through your top arm, revolved triangle. And feel that how the internal rotation of your legs allows for the opening of the chest and the shoulders. And you can even check in with your bottom arm. Make sure your bottom bicep is turned forward. Bottom bicep is turned out toward the index. Last few breaths here. Invite softness behind your face. Continuing to explore the lungs. Inhale. Exhale. Can release. Let's return the hand to the head. The hand to the waist. Left hand to your waist. As you look forward, lift your right bicep in line with your ear. Exhale, press down to lift up. And release the arms down. You can pivot on your heels to face forward. Face forward. Back foot meets the front. Tadasana. Pause to feel. Left leg steps back, come right down into a lunge. Right into a lunge. And we'll take the front hand, or the right hand rather, inside of the legs. You got a wide lunge setup. Now drop your back knee down and untuck the toes. If you have sensitive knees, you might roll up your mat to get a little cushion going on if you need it. Now feel your hips drop down and forward as you pull your front heel back towards your back knee. Now for some of us, this might be where it's at today. Others, you can take your hand, right hand above your knee and twist your chest open to the side. Twisting open to the right. You can decide to reach your right arm back behind you. Consider the half bind, hand to the opposite waist. If your knee feels safe, then you might explore the quad stretch, taking your heel towards your hip. But wherever you are, really move your front heel towards your back knee. If you're taking the quad stretch, find the back bend, squeezing the back body to help open through the front. You can even look back over your shoulder, working into the neck. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Release whatever you're working with and go ahead and switch it out. Switch it out, taking your left foot forward this time. So you've got your hands inside of the foot. Untuck your toes and let your hips move down and forward. Feel your front heel dragging toward the back knee. So instead of being like just drop down low, very engaged and alert. Option to take your left hand above the knee, guide your chest open to the twist. I like to hug the elbow back toward the body. It's not, nothing you gotta do, but you might see how that feels for you. Option, of course, to reach the hand back, maybe take the half bind. If the knee feels safe, then you might explore bending your back knee heel toward the bottom. Wherever you are, find that slight element of back bending. So you're squeezing your shoulder blades together and allowing the collarbones to spread apart because of it. How's the bottom wrist doing? Can you ground through the center of the hand, the index and thumb? Last few, almost there. Inhale. Slow and steady release. Come on back to your lunge. You can lift your back knee and step yourself into downward facing dog. Few breaths in your down dog to neutralize, to check in. Give me a second to check the time. All right, go ahead and walk your hands back to meet your feet. Come all the way on up to stand. Okay, so we're ready. We've been cooking up all the ingredients that we need to do our revolved half moon pose, right? So we did half moon last week, and this week we're super nice and warmed up for our revolved half moon. Balancing poses are really hard, right? So I want to give you options for this, especially if twisting is especially challenging for you. So if when we get into this, you're like, you know what, I'm not doing the balance today, that's fine. You can do this on your knees, kind of how we did earlier. So you might find that same hand behind the head, lift that, and then you can even stretch your leg back behind you, right? So I've got essentially the same shape as revolved half moon, but instead of standing on the foot, I'm on the knee, okay? So have that in mind and do what you need to do with that. Otherwise, let's do the darn thing. So from the back of your mat, you can go ahead and step, let's do the right foot forward. Right foot forward. So just like warrior one in your stance here. And we'll take the right hand to the waist, lift your left arm up. And I'm gonna have you bend your knee like warrior one. And I'm kind of crawling my foot forward here because I noticed I didn't step far enough. And then as you hinge forward halfway, set your hand down to the floor, kind of off and to the left. And if you got your block, it's a good place for it. So I've got my hand kind of off and to the left here, and I'm resting my chest on the thigh. From here, you're gonna come onto the ball of your back foot. Go ahead and take your right hand to the back of your head. Begin to twist your shoulders up and open. For some of you, you can decide to stay here. For others, you're gonna lift off of your back foot, lift your foot in line with your hip. And this might be where you're like, okay, I need to adjust my front arm, if you need to. Stacking top shoulder over the bottom, you might begin to straighten your top leg. Your top leg, your bottom leg, all of the legs, maybe straight. Maybe even flying the top arm as well. Now, wherever you are, make your standing legs strong. Drag your right hip towards your left inner thigh as you flare out your aerial toes. Last few breaths here. Find a little bit of a cat back, right? So hugging your ribs towards your hips a little bit. Almost there, last few. Inhale. Slow and steady, rewind your actions, hand to head, foot to earth, and lift yourself back up and release the arms. Nicely done, everyone. Go ahead and pivot on your heels, face the opposite direction. We have a car alarm. Thank you, car alarm, for stopping. Like extra meditation practice, right? Can you keep it together even if it's annoying? Yes, we can. Okay. Left hand to the waist this time, so you've switched out your directions. Got the left hand to the waist, you're gonna lift the right arm up. Start to bend into your front knee and hover your chest over the leg. You can even set your chest down on your leg as you come onto the ball of your back foot. Set your right hand down off and to the right a bit, so it's in front of your bottom foot. Keep in fact, let's take the left hip, slide it toward the center. Slide it toward the center. Then lean forward so much that you're able to lift your back leg up in line with the hip. Flare your toes. This might be where it's at, or you take your left hand to your head, start to stack your shoulders. Stay here, or straighten, squeeze your bottom leg straight. Squeeze your top shoulder over your bottom. Flaring your lifted toes. And notice if there's a back bending element. See if you can find more of like a cat back, closing your ribs towards your hips. Maybe straightening your top arm. Last few breaths here. Inviting peace behind the eyes. Continuing to explore the lungs. Inhale. Slow and steady, rewind your actions. Come on back to stand. You can relax the arms. Pivot to face the front of your mat. And go ahead and step back into downward facing dog. From your down dog, drop the knees. Take child's pose. Rest your right cheek towards the earth. Allowing the heart rate to slow, the breath to steady. Switch your cheeks, take the left to the floor. When you're ready, come all the way up to a kneeling position. Nicely done, everyone. Let's do hands to opposite shoulders. Also, if kneeling isn't comfortable for you, you can sit cross-legged, or you can even lift up into like a proper kneel. Sitting comfortably, hands to opposite shoulders. Round your back like cat back. We'll turn the arms to the left. Round your spine as you roll it down. Reach your elbows to the right. And find a circular action lifting up and over. But really find that rotation to the right. Go ahead and take 2 more rotations like this. So we just did a lot of engagement through the back body, and I want to move some of that effort, that work out of the back. Next time you're back in the center-ish, switch the cross on your arm so it's the other way. And then we'll take it the opposite direction. And take your time with these. Looking for the crunchier places in the back and moving into those spaces. And finish up the circle that you're on. And come back to the center, release, and make your way down to your back. Once you're down there, give yourself a little hug. Give yourself a little side-to-side back massage action. And with your left leg down, you can hug your right knee. We'll move the right knee out and away. With your right arm out to the side, gently cross your top leg over your body. And look over your right shoulder, kind of working the neck. Now take your top hip and move it away from your body, right? So the top hip usually wants to roll towards you. See if you can move it out and away to create more space through the low back. And then for some of us, this is the end of the line, and that's okay. For others, you might bend your bottom knee. You might use your right hand to grab hold of your bottom foot, taking your heel towards your bottom. More from here, you might grab hold of your top foot and play with straightening your top leg. All the while continuing to move the top hip away, so we're not crunching up the low back at all, but rather letting this twist happen more from the shoulders. Inhale. Slowly rewind your actions, returning to your back and switching out the legs. So left knee comes in this time. With your left arm to the side, you can cross your top leg over. And listen to your back. Listen to where the body would like to go here. So we're never shoving, but rather just gently exploring. If you are able to stack your top hip over your bottom and soften through the chest, then you might also bend your bottom knee. You kind of wiggle your bottom knee back so it's in line with your hip. Then you can hold on to it with your left hand. If you did on the other side, then you might play with right hand to top foot and extending the leg out. And continuing to press your top hip away from you. And even sending your breath into your low back. I like to push the outer bottom leg into the floor quite a bit. I find that pressing into the floor gives me a little bit more access into the shoulders. Inhale. And slowly, carefully rewind your actions. Come on back to center. And here you'll cross your right heel over your left knee, figure 4 pose. Really ground your heel above the knee. And you can stay or maybe grab hold somewhere on your left leg, draw it in. Moving your right knee out. And don't be afraid to let the tail lift up off the floor. But do drop the head down. Do drop the shoulders. So not too much crunchiness going on there. Inhale. Release and switch it out. Left heel over the right knee. Flexing the foot. And maybe grabbing hold on the right leg to bring it in close. Using the belly to move the left leg out. And allowing the ears to be long and away from the shoulders. Allowing the shoulders to drop down. Inhale. Exhaling to release. You can uncross your legs for our happy baby pose. Now, to modify happy baby, hold the insides of your knees and then just guide your knees out, spreading out your low back onto the ground quite a bit. And for a fuller happy baby, you can grab the feet. If you're doing feet, press your feet to your hands as your hands pull down into the feet. Finding the resistance. Feel free to play around, maybe straighten the legs or rock with it. In your own time, releasing legs long, arms long. Making your way into Shavasana, your resting pose. And dropping all the efforts. Using this time to connect with yourself, your capital S self. And in the same way that you would listen to a close friend. Listen to the tone of their voice, the expression of their face, their choice of words. With the same care and attention, listen to the body and the breath. Becoming more deeply acquainted with our capital S self. And you'll have just a few moments here to strengthen that relationship. I'll wake you in just a bit when we're through. And you can begin to deepen the sound of your breathing. And if you're ready to move on with your day, you can start to bring movements back into your hands and your feet. And take a big old stretch if you'd like. And with your knees in, you can roll onto your right side. And come on up to a seat, eyes closed, palms joined together at the heart. And bowing your chin to your chest. And throughout our day, may we frequently come back to ourselves, listening with the care and attention that we would a dear friend, bringing our head, our heart, and our belly together in unison, together in communication for wholeness. Namaste.